Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Jeremy. Jeremy is going to run through today's webinar on a workflow on how to go about creating a specification. And at the end of the session, we will be happy to take some questions. So good morning, Jeremy, and thanks for joining in.
Morning, Ash. Thanks very much for that. Yes, so I guess the purpose today is to look at workflow. So we've covered lots of little parts of the sum, I suppose, in the webinars up to this point. So what I wanted to do today was essentially put together a specification in what it should hopefully be a nice, smooth workflow, assuming that you know all the bits that are leading up to the points that we're getting to. I'll go step by step, but I won't go into a lot of detail of each step because a lot of those steps were covered in previous webinars, and also I can cover those those particular pertinent points through either the process of questions and Q&A, etc., or you can go back and view them, or happy enough to do a one-on-one session with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through creating a specification pretty much from scratch. Start a new specification, new project, client details, that's me. Now, I guess the thing here is that you can put a picture in. You can do it now, you can do it later.
And this could be, a photo of the site, a map location, or an architect's impression of the project, of the building.
Correct, yes. And as I said, you can do this at the beginning or you can do it at the end. Now, obviously, good thing for workflow is grabbing an office master. In this particular case, general sections is kind of a baseline because you have your general sections set up, they're 80, 90% edited, and what it does is it gives you a quick start. And then what you can do from there is tweak the project information. You can then add your product-specific work sections and pretty much put together your specification. So as you can see, I've put pretty much all of the general sections in there, and straightforward process to get in and do a bit of editing to finish off.
Now, the advantage here, guys, is that of using an Office Master is you can already pre-edit some of the details. So things, as you can see here, is prepared by, so your company details, document control details, how the revision control needs to be taken place. All of this can already be done at Office Master stage. So when you're starting a spec, you're not, there's no requirement to actually go in and enter these details and spend all that time on your spec.
Correct. And what I've also done is I've put in some of the automated schedules in there as well. So they're already in there ready to go. So as you add product specific work sections, then those schedules will start to populate as we go. So I'm just going to put some basic product sections in there, and I'm going to run Q&A. Couple of questions here. Don't worry too much about what I'm picking. And all going well, there's not too much more. There we go. Add. And now in this particular case, I'm also going to toggle across to my products, and I'm going to add a PTS to the appendix for that product. Then I'm going to toggle back and I'm going to grab another product and go through the Q&A. Nice and simple stuff.
So remember, guys, again, as we had discussed in a previous webinar, you can do a not sure select later option as well, or you can add the entire work section without doing the Q&A, and you can go back and do the Q&A later as well.
Yep, correct. So what I'm also going to do here is possibly this project is a little different to what we would normally have. So, I'm going to get a bit of assistance from the manufacturer. Now, the thing with work section support is that enables you to get in touch with the technical people.
Yeah. And when you are specifying from a branded work section, you can directly get in touch with the supplier or the manufacturer to receive some support with regards to your selection. So work section support is the best system. We recommend to put all your requests for support on writing your specification through work section support.
Absolutely, yes. So in this case here, I've asked a straightforward question. Will I need to use heavier fixings in a high wind zone? And so it just enables me to get a little bit of assistance, possibly a little bit of peer review. If sometimes it's nice to get somebody that knows the product to just give it a look over to make sure you're on the right track. So it's just a nice way to bring you a bit closer to the technical people. So we've added couple of product sections in there. Now I'm just going to now change across to a job that I prepared earlier. And so I've got some product sections in there. I've got those general sections, the same, more or less a mirror of what I just had with the previous project. Set everything to complete as I've worked my way through the sections. Just got the last one to set to complete. So now I have my work sections all completed. Manage and print, going to the next stage. Coming to the overview page here, set to complete, two-step process. And what this does is this just double checks that you've set all those sections to complete, which means that you've got rid of the tools, which means that the project in theory is edited completely for this project. Contract appendix. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add in a fire report, and simple process there. Your fire engineer hopefully would have sent it to you. It's in your job file, fire engineering. And we've now in the process of uploading that into our contract appendix. So contract appendix is for project-specific appendix items. So things that have been specifically written for this project, and fire report is a classic, H1 calculations and the like. Things that are specifically related to this project. You'll also see manufacturer's information, those PTSs, like the one that I bought out of my products, but you could also put in your code marks and your brand certificates and the likes, and you can build up that that appendix. So manufacturer's information is for your supporting information. So in other words, non-project specific. So it's just a lot of that support information. Traditionally, a lot of that goes to the council and it's for council requirements. Move across to export. Typically, you would do the full spec, which is the specification and the contract appendix. So that was that fire report, etc. And export now. And it puts those two things together. So that's the part that's actually the contract. So it's all the project-specific information, and it's the bit that they need on site in order to translate your plans and your documentation and your client's requirements, hopefully into the construction phase, and useful for putting that information together. All the stuff's hyperlinked. So as you can see, there's all those sections there. And down the bottom here, we have the appendix. So you have the work sections first, and then following on behind that, you have the appendix, and it gives you a list of your project-specific or contract appendix items, and there's your fire report. And then you'd follow that up with the supporting information, the manufacturer's information, export now. So this is that supporting information we talked about, PTSs, code marks and the like. We make this a separate output, and we obviously encourage you to keep it separate in terms of a file, or if you are printing it, to bind it separately, because it gives legal separation between the project-specific or contract information and the non-project specific or supporting information. We give it its own cover sheet, we give it its own index, and then there we have those PTS or product technical statements for those two products there. generally 2 to 3 pages. And there we have it. So I guess that was a fairly high-speed look at sort of workflow. So we started with a template because templates will give you a quick start. At the very least, your general sections. If there's commonality to your work, you would potentially put in some other information around your client base or possibly different scopes, etc. Set up in a way that they're usable ongoing as templates and give you that quick start. We then added some product work sections. We put in a PTS. We did a work section support request to give us some assistance from the technical people at the manufacturers. And then we've shown you the output and the contract appendix and the manufacturer's information or supporting appendix. And then we've done the output, those two main ones, which is the full spec and then the supporting manufacturer's information. So we think that's a good workflow. Obviously, you need to have good templates, and obviously you work your way through that process. Have we had any questions, Yash?
Yes, we actually do have a few questions come through. Before I jump on to questions, guys, the only thing I want to add to that is that in terms of Office Masters, you can have as many Office Masters as you like. And that's actually relating to one of the questions that has come in as well. So we will address that in a little bit more detail. So first question that I actually have is, Jeremy, is that why a work section needs to be set to complete?
So a work section needs to be set to complete in order to identify the tools. So essentially, we are doing a double check. We Masterspec are doing a double check to make sure that you've got rid of all the tools. So we've put a tilde in, which is the squiggly line, in a field where we think that you need to put information, or if that field is not relevant. If that field's not relevant to the project, then you get rid of that field.
Could you show that on your screen quickly, Jeremy? Thanks.
Certainly. Let's take us back to edit mode.
So as Jeremy was saying, guys, while he comes to one of the screens, we will show you that how when it's a blank section, Masterspec puts like a prompt for the user, and that prompt actually is for you, the user, to enter information in there. It could be project information, design information, manufacturer information, whatever relates to that particular clause in the work section. And the system identifies that when that information is not input, and if Jeremy now tries to set it to complete, as you can see, it says we have found one clause where the tilde is still there, which means it's basically saying that seems like you've forgotten some information here. And that is why it is like an error checking system where it makes sure that you're not missed out on any information that needs to actually go in there.
Yep. So reversing the process, put some information in there, got rid of the tilde, set it to complete again. So yes, it's very much part of that workflow is to identify the tildes, get rid of the tildes. Your browser find will help you find the tildes, Control F or Command F, and it will give you the browser search. You can put a tilde in and you can work through tab by tab and work through and get rid of those tildes.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeremy. So the next question is related to Office Masters. As I mentioned before, is can I use multiple Office Masters to build up my specification?
Very much so. So when you, as Yash said before, you can have one template or Office Master or multiple Office Masters. And a Office Master can have one work section in it or multiple work sections in it. What I would say to you though is don't overlap too many sections into too many of your Office Masters, because it magnifies your maintenance requirement when there's a change. But as simple as going into Office Masters, and as you can see, I have a range of them there, and I may well go into steel buildings and say, actually, I have these steel building products set up as work sections that are in an Office Master where they're partially edited. So a product-specific work section won't be edited as well as a general section can be, and still be usable as a template. So you're unlikely to get it to 70, 80, 90% edited, but you'll probably get it to 40 or 50%, depending on the product. And so what that means is it's still usable ongoing. So to select one of those, you would literally click on it, same as selecting a section from scratch, and it puts it straight across there for you. And then you've just got to finish the editing process and maybe run the Q&A again if required, and then set it to complete the same as you do with another section. Of course, you can then pick and choose. You can perhaps go across to a commercial master and select one of the products there. You'll notice that there are 2 alerts there. To be fair, if you have an alert, then you should really update the Office Master. And I personally wouldn't grab a section that from a master that was had an alert on it, because by the time I go through the update manager and then do my editing, it's probably not best use of my time. In this situation here, if I wanted one of those 2 sections, I'd be better off grabbing it from scratch. Yep. Update your masters around the 1st of the month, and then they're good to go for the month.
Yep. Yep. Excellent. Thanks, Jeremy. So I think that's all the questions that we have. Guys, if you have any more questions about this topic or this webinar, you can send these to jen@masterspec.co.nz. That's GEN@masterspec.co.nz. You could also go to our website at www.masterspec.co.nz, and then from the training menu, you can look at the webinars. So you can look at the recording of this webinar, or you can also keep tabs of the upcoming webinars, and you can join us for future webinars. So that's the information for future webinars, and just below there will be information on the webinars that have already been conducted, and you can replay these from the link that is provided with each webinar. So guys, that's all from us for today. Do stay safe, and do keep in touch with us through social media, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and if any questions, do send us an email. Thanks, Jeremy, for your time today.
Thanks, Yash.
Thanks for joining in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.